DarkEcho Production. Some stories are forgotten, others refuse to stay buried. The Girl in Apartment 3B, Episode 2, Nobody Else Heard It. The next night. Maya didn't sleep. She couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard it again. That slow, deliberate knocking. She told herself she was imagining things, that it had been stress, exhaustion, anything but what she thought she had seen. Still, when the clock beside her bed changed to 2:16 a.m., she sat up. Her apartment was silent. The rain had stopped. Even the building seemed too quiet. She stared at the front door, waiting. Nothing. She almost laughed at herself. Maybe it really had all been in her head. Then, knock, knock, knock. Exactly 3 knocks. Exactly the same as the night before. Maya didn't hesitate this time. She rushed to the peephole. The hallway was empty. Not almost empty, completely empty. No footsteps, no elevator, no closing doors. Just the dim hallway, stretching into darkness. She unlocked the door, slowly, carefully. The hallway was cold, much colder than it should have been. She stepped outside. "Hello?" Only silence answered. She walked toward the far end of the hallway, one apartment after another. 2A, 2B, 2C. Everything looked normal, until she reached the end. There should have been another apartment. Instead, there was only a blank section of wall. No doorway, no apartment, nothing. Maya frowned. She looked back toward her own apartment, then back again. Maybe she'd gone the wrong way. She walked the hallway a second time. Still, no apartment 3B. The next morning, she found the building superintendent, an older man who had worked there longer than anyone else. "Can I ask you something?" He smiled politely. "Of course. Where is apartment 3B? The smile disappeared. He stared at her for several seconds. Then he laughed. "There isn't an apartment 3B. Maya felt her stomach tighten. "What do you mean? This building skips that number." She shook her head. "No. I saw the door." The superintendent's expression changed, not confused, concerned. He lowered his voice. "You're not the first person who's asked me that." Maya froze. "What?" He looked down the hallway before speaking again. "The last tenant who asked me about apartment 3B moved out the next day. And before that, a woman disappeared." Silence. The superintendent took one slow breath, then said something Maya would never forget. "Whatever you do, if someone knocks, don't answer." That night, Maya pushed a chair against her front door, locked every lock, turned on every light. She wasn't taking any chances. The apartment was silent. The clock read 2:16 a.m. She held her breath. 2:17. Nothing. Relief washed over her. Maybe it was finally over. Then, her phone vibrated. Unknown number. One new voicemail. She hadn't answered a call. Her hands trembled as she pressed play. Static. A few seconds of silence. Then, very softly, a woman's voice whispered, "Maya, I'm still outside."